Oh, how it must feel being a Nintendo Switch player here today. Folks, the moment you've been waiting for has finally arrived. With the release of 7 major content updates all at once, the Nintendo Switch version of Don't Starve Together is now just a few months shy of the PC version. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really touch console Don't Starve with a 10-foot pole. And I have no idea how the Nintendo Switch version is even gonna run after all this. But I do know this. With all of these updates coming out at once, I have to imagine that people are insanely overwhelmed and have no idea what's happening. Especially any of the new players who came with the game when it released on the Switch. So then, being the Don't Starve guy and one who takes pride in keeping people up to date, I feel it's my duty to briefly talk about these 7 content updates, otherwise we'll be here all day, while also pointing you in the proper direction of all the content we've already made on these 7 content updates. As I'm not alone in saying that this is a lot of content. Perhaps a little too much, as Clay is right there with us. I do want to point out, though, that they are going to be working on performance specifically moving forward, and that the remaining updates will be coming in late October, maybe November. So with all that out of the way, let's take a trip down memory lane. A soggy lane at that, as it's about time we sailed back to the waterlogged biome, everyone. Now, when it comes to optional content in this game, I gotta say, the waterlogged biome might be the most optional of optional things that we have ever seen. That said, once you start breaking it down into its parts, things get oh so very interesting. Grass gators respawn stupidly fast and drop some of the best food in the entire game. Sea striders are really fun, especially if you're playing as Weber. The fig recipes are not bad, and figs grow in winter, so that's kind of nice. And with tree jam and the great tree trunks and everything that come with them, we really do have some interesting play styles at play. Oh, and did I mention that this was the update that finally brought the boat rework that Beard was begging for 2 years leading up to it? Waterlogged was fantastic, everyone, and this is coming from the guy who hates ocean content. I like it. I like the way it looks, I like the way it sounds, I like the way it plays, and how it feels. It's great. So to those experiencing it for the first time, be prepared to get wet. And heck, with what comes next, you might even be a wet granny. And yes, you can quote me on that. The Wanda character update would drop a month later. And with it came one of the most powerful characters to ever exist in the history of this franchise. But she also offered, and still does offer, some of the most unique gameplay changes that we've ever had. With no health, she has to manage her age before she dies. With all sorts of new clocks, she can help the team and herself with combat and revival and survival and all that sort of stuff. She can literally rip tears in space and time to teleport herself or the team instantly. Oh, and did I mention how flippin' powerful she is? Because she's flippin' powerful. And she also has some fun synergies to go along with her. In short, Wanda is the real deal. As is Hollow Knights, but we get Hollow Knights every flippin' year, and it hasn't changed in years, so the big draw of this next guy is the October quality of life updates. We've got server pausing, which is one of the biggest changes we've ever flippin' had. We have chat history, so we can scroll up and see what our friends said because we ignored them on purpose, which is also really big. We got all sorts of crafting changes, like certain things now requiring certain machines to prototype, reduced crafts, and even improved durabilities and damages on certain things, including the pickaxe. A big time endgame change was how moon gleams and infused moon shards are going to take longer to spoil, so we don't really have to worry about rushing to the lunar endgame. Every creature in the game was now able, and still is able, to eat any of Wily's buffs, which is both fun and terrifying at the same time. And finally, this was the update that started the deconstruction fad that we've been having. The Bee Queen Crown, Bone Armor, Bone Helm, Shadow Thurple, and Spider Hat were now able to be broken down into their components. It was pretty good. And you know what? This list here doesn't even list everything. as there were some actual character changes. I'm not entirely sure what the Walter one was, but I do remember that Wigfrid's inspiration meter is now also impacted by Warley's buffs, so make notes. And again, I implore you to turn your eyes to the channel and all the videos I'm listing here today to help you get up to speed. But speaking of both those things, we also got the Terraria Crossover event last year, and now Nintendo Switch users do too. But what does that exactly mean for you, you ask? Well, mostly just 3 bosses, and they're all just the same bosses, but some are a little harder than others. That's kind of the gist, unfortunately. And yeah, sure, we got some good skins, a new conspicuous chest set piece, and a couple crockpot dishes, one of which is really, really good in frozen banana daiquiri. But once you have your fun and you quickly realize how limited the content on the Don't Starve Together side of this crossover actually is, I wouldn't be surprised if you're a little suspicious. But hey, the loot you get from these bosses is pretty good, and there is some fun to be had, so I hope you do so now. So let's move on to an update that doesn't even matter anymore, on top of yet another seasonal event that we always get and hasn't changed for a while, but hey, Nintendo Switch users can now experience. But hold up, Beard, how on earth could the Wolfgang Rework update not matter? It's simple, folks. This Wolfgang Rework was the initial beta one that came out and kind of pissed everybody off. To me, overall, it was fine, because I gotta say, I don't really like Wolfgang anyway, and I don't even play the guy. I think the rework just needed some refinement, and would you believe it, that would come a few months later. But that is exactly why we can't talk about it now, because if we talk about it now, everything I will say is not gonna be right. But everything was made right a few weeks later with the Year of the Catcoon, everyone. It was yet another simple year of events with not too much going on. But it did introduce Catcoons, which are some of the cutest things we have ever bloody seen. But it is also by far the simplest and smallest year of events that we have ever gotten. So if you want the details, you're gonna have to go here, as we've got way too much to talk about still. Especially when it comes to the incredible March Quality of Life update. The release that will live in infamy. I honestly don't even know where to start with this one, folks. It was the crafting menu change. It was the Ancient Guardian rework. It was that second Wolfgang rework I mentioned. And oh, so much more. Wolfgang's gyms got buffed to insane efficiency. He got himself a new dumbbell. The old ones got refined and more efficient, and even got new recipes and plenty more. Fishing in the Oasis Lake has become a heck of a lot easier for whatever reason. We now have settings to turn off specific hounds and hound waves. The Melbatross bill got a buff. Varglets were introduced. Yes, an entirely new mob. And oh yeah, that Ancient Guardian rework I mentioned. The guy has 2 phases now, which is already a huge mention. But what if I told you that the fight itself has a massive overhaul? He has a new leaping mechanic. He now has to run into his pillars to get stunned. He can now drop new pillars from the ceiling that might stun you, so on and so forth. And folks, believe it or not, even that wasn't everything. I am not joking. This March Quality of Life update is by far the biggest update this game has ever flippin' seen. Heck, this might be the update that makes it so Nintendo Switch can't even run this game for Pete's sake. But jokes aside, it's time, everyone. The final release you guys are getting today, the WX Refresh Update. The guy has 15 new circuits and all the scans that come with it. New wetness mechanics that you absolutely have to learn about, otherwise you're gonna be dead in literal seconds. And oh yeah, some fun, stupid potential that is fun and stupid. But here's a big note, folks. The WX78 Refresh Update was also the start of Clay reworking other characters within another character's update, if you know what I mean. We also got WORMWOOD and WURT changes. And let me tell ya, the WURT changes are kind of flippin' ridiculous. And folks, there you have it, the rundown on all 7 content updates dropping on the Nintendo Switch right flippin' now. Not only that though, since you guys have been left hanging, Clay recognizes that, so they are also giving you a crap ton of new skins. 36 random skins just for logging in. You have until October 15th to do so though, so I would do it right flipping now. And as I said, there you have it everyone. Just a mere announcement of everything new that has come to the game for the Nintendo Switch version. You guys are seriously only 2 to 3 updates behind at this point, and I really do enjoy the fact that we are almost at a level playing field here. But I'm also happy that I was able to do this here today, as it has been great fun going back to see how much has come to the game in just a year's time. I hope all you Nintendo Switch users have an absolutely glorious time now, and enjoy the new but old stuff. Thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.